Good afternoon, and it is day 4 of the International Great Black Read Aloud Day. My name is LD Robinson, and today is Motivational Day. And so I'm really excited. It seems like I got a lot of sunlight coming along here, but I'm really excited about today. It's a great day for you to get a motivational quote and get something written by something motivational, something inspiring, written by someone who's Black from anywhere in the world, and read it aloud today. Again, my name is LD, and today is day 4 of the International Great Black Read Aloud Day, and I am reading today from T.D. Jakes' Instinct. A very good book full of motivation, and we're going to read a little bit. The chapter called Instinctive Investments. I think it's a very inspiring and motivational chapter. When you follow your instincts, you invest in your future success. As I've shared, this instinct to increase is not about dollars, but about dreams. Not that the two are mutually exclusive by any means, not at all. But most people would measure instinctive success by checking business ledgers, stock investments, annuities, and stock options. Some think that their instinct to increase is about profits and not losses. Many more assume that instinct-based success is about the houses we live in and the cars we drive. They mistake the trinkets of success for success itself. Others define increase by a score, a home run on a baseball field, or a three-pointer outside the paint on a basketball court. Or it could be celebrities you've met, or degrees you've earned, or companies you've started. However, a few realize that instincts are more than shrewd investments and buyouts, scoring points, or touchdowns. You see, it's never the money. It's the confidence you gained while getting it. It's never the prize. It's what it took to get the prize. It's not the dividend. Is the exhilarating feeling of having invested wisely. In short, my friend, it's not the destination that matters, it's what you see and learn while getting there. It's the investment of your instincts in future growth and success, not just the dividends paid. Instinct multiplies success. While I was reading through the Bible recently, I encountered a story that really drove this home to me. Now, I don't profess to know all that Jesus intended for us to glean from this story I'm about to share, but some of the truths I extracted from the text may help you realize that we are indeed tenders of the soil. Whether you are Adam in the Garden of Eden or an investor on Wall Street, there's an expectation that you will be responsible enough to take what you've been given and continue to cultivate it and develop it to the best of your ability. Let's consider the lessons in this multi-layered masterpiece. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey who has called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one, he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold came also. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. His master replied, You wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed? Well, then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they will have will be taken from them. That is from Matthew chapter 25. This story wields a powerful punch in showing us how we must seize the opportunities we have been given and have the courage to forge into the unknown. Again, I am reading from Instinct today by Bishop T.D. Jakes. We must facilitate the untapped power of our possibilities and maximize every gift and grace we're given. We must increase the allotment we've been given and leave every situation better than it was before we were entrusted with it. Imagine how surprised Jesus' disciples must have been to hear such an amazing idea, that a man rich enough to have servants would leave the servants in charge of the wealth. This is an astonishing notion in any society, but it becomes even more impactful when you consider that during Jesus' lifetime, people were born into a strict caste system. Most people then usually believe that the affluent were entitled to lead by virtue of their birthright, while the less than must likewise accept their lot in life. The notion of helping others reach a higher station was not popular, nor to mention the notion that a master would entrust his goods to his slaves for safekeeping. For example, consider when the prodigal son tells his father, "Make me as one of thy hired servants," Luke chapter 15, verse 19. He implies his willingness to be stripped of all rights to inheritance and to occupy a lesser station in life in exchange for the right to come home. Even Jesus himself once said, "The poor you will have with you always," Mark chapter 14, 7. There seems little expectancy beyond benevolence given to the poor. Certainly, there is not a chance to change stations in life or manage investments. Yet in this story, the wealth has been transferred, at least from a stewardship perspective, from the haves to the have-nots in a graphic and profound way. Not only does the master delegate his wealth, but then he takes his leave. Even with today's much-needed emphasis on equality, I don't know too many people who go on vacation and leave their wealth in the hands of the maid or the gardener. Why would Jesus suggest such a countercultural, counterintuitive possibility? The master slaves had no experience with handling business. They had no training with investments or wealth. Why risk it all with someone who has none? To answer this question, I challenge you to consider how this parable emphasizes the power of instincts and their direct correlation on our status and standards of living. Relative rewards. Each servant is given a portion, not equal portions, but all three receive something. One man receives 5 bags of gold, the second receives 2 bags of gold, and the third receives 1 bag. When the master returns, he asks them to account for what they did with what they had. The man with 5 reports an increase to 10, a 100% increase. The next one, who received 2, reports that he too has doubled his money and now has 4. But the last servant neither increased nor decreased the 1 bag which he had been entrusted. The story concludes by making it clear that the master was quite angry at the way this last servant handled what he'd been given. All the others had an increase of 100%. I mentioned this contrast for several reasons. First, we must realize that whenever we have been given an opportunity, no matter what the arena, we are expected to produce some level of increase. Whether that opportunity is monetary, as it was in the story mentioned above, or whether it is an intangible opportunity, there is an accountability that cannot be ignored. What are you going to do with what you have been given? The second item you must consider is that in spite of the fact that no one received the same amount, each was evaluated based on his level of increase. So the excuse that I didn't have what the other guy had is not acceptable. If God holds us to a divine standard, then we are accountable only to the degree we've been gifted. The third issue lies with the motivation of the servant who had one. His fear of failure compelled him to hide what he'd been given rather than risk it for increase. The thing that leaps at me in his issue is that he hid his talent and exposed his fear. How many of us are doing that in some area of our lives, when in fact we should be hiding our fear and exposing our talents? Finally, the most profound point for me emerges from the fact that the master never asked any of them to increase what they've been given. While there is no command, it seems apparent that there is a clear expectation to do so. It's inherently understood that it's the servant's responsibility. This unspoken expectation forms the very basis of my main point here. If you're waiting on someone to command you to perform your best and increase your abilities, then you're not in touch with your instincts. If someone has to demand great thinking and intuitive creation from you, it may be that you are not ready to be honored. You are not ready to be so honored. Exceeding the requested duties is a sign of instincts well applied. This kind of instinctive production isn't elicited by the demand of others around us, but rather exudes from the creativity within us. New opportunities call to us to birth greatness rather than to seek shelter in the womb of mediocrity, which offers temporary comfort but cannot sustain our maturation into the fullness of what we were made to be. The expectation of the master in the story is the same one given to us by God with every new opportunity. It is a chance to harness your ability with your creativity and risk opening the door for promotion to the next level. The next time you are honored with an opportunity, remember that this is your gateway to the next level of thinking, of living, thinking, and thriving. You are being given more than a chance to succeed. You are given a chance to advance. I have seen so many people who wasted their lives, their gifts, their money, and all types of opportunities because fear blocked the path to abundance. Like a roadblock on a highway, they seemed unable to get beyond the debris of past accidents in order to find a new route to their success. We can overcome our fears if we remember that life does not demand more than what it gives. We can't waste time comparing what we've been given because we must reserve that energy for unloading to our God-given potential. The gifts may not be in the same dimension or even to the same degree, but that's okay. It may not be on the same level as everyone else's, and that's okay because we're not called to compete with everyone else. We're not called to use others as the barometer of our breakouts. We're called to maximize the fullness of God, of what God has uniquely entrusted to us. No, we can't afford to allow our neighbor to dictate how we define success. It may not be in the same area, so we are taught not to covet what we've not been allotted. You can hire people to do what you cannot do. There is no time to spend years imitating what we've not been given. Instead, we are asked to measure ourselves by ourselves and to fulfill the unspoken responsibility that comes with the gifts we've been given. Based on this parable, I'm convinced God asks no more and no less from us. There is no expectation or requirement to function on some other guy's level. However, this unique standard to which God holds us also means that we must accept responsibility for its fulfillment. We don't have to imitate anyone else's success, but we do have to invest our talents in the dreams we've been given. Unfortunately, there is no instruction manual in the box when you uncrate the gift inside of you. I can't tell you how many times I wish there were some type of specific directions given as to exactly how we should increase the tangible and intangible gifts we have been given in life. The singer has the gift of song, but no sheet music revealing whether to teach, perform, or record. The artist has the gift of drawing, but there is no clear blueprint as to whether he should pursue graphic design or fine art landscapes. In fact, if instructions were included with our gifts, then our instincts would not have to be activated. God doesn't give details when he gives gifts. He just gives us the instinct and the opportunity. He allows us to meet the right people at the right time and challenge us with how they perceive our capacity to perform. When life gives us gifts and an opportunity to use those gifts, this in itself is a compliment and, more important, our permission to advance. So don't wait on someone to tell you how, when, and where to do what only you know can know inside you. No one will tell you this is the moment. No announcer will declare that this is the opportunity you've been waiting for. No parent, spouse, business partner, mentor, lover, coach, teacher, or pastor can tell you the time of your appointment with destiny. Instead, there is only an instinct of urgency. There is an instinct of necessity. There is a still small voice that says, "To him whom much is given, much is required." There is this moment right now. I've often had people write me on Facebook or Twitter and ask, how do I know what I'm created to do? When these pop up, I have a habit of looking at the profile of the people who question. More times than not, I am expecting a college student or a high school sophomore to be the one asking such questions. But that's not always the case, or even usually the case. Many times, people in their 40s and 50s are still standing over the box of life, trying to find the direction as to how they should put together what they have been given. Many spend their entire lives at the crossroads of greatness, trying to decipher which way they should go. They do not know that the longer they deliberate, the more they lose. The singer loses his voice with age. The runner's legs get stiff as time passes by. The business environment changes with the ebbing and flowing of the economy. Lost time means irretrievably lost opportunities. During his campaigns, President Barack Obama used a phrase from Dr. Martin Luther: the fierce urgency of now. This alarm clock quotation reminds all of us that time's loss is something no one can afford. Just as the master servants were required to think like a master, despite their status as slaves, we must seize the moments we are given to be more than our circumstances dictate. At the end of the day, the slave's station in life rose or sank to the level of their thinking. These individuals used what they had in a timely way, and thereby, in spite of the societal laws of the times, moved into the dimension of their master. Despite their station in life, they thought beyond where they were and moved in the direction of where they wanted to go. Consider another example. In the dark history of the formation of our country, the enslaved were forbidden to learn how to read. The slave owners of that time understood all too well. The key to freedom was in the mind of the enslaved. Once the person in bondage thought like a free being, they would be nearly impossible to control. If you liberate someone's thinking, it is only a matter of time before chains cannot hold their liberated mentality. That is why I never allow people to incarcerate my thinking by forcing their opinion on me. I always listen in case I can gain some wisdom that influences me. But when they try to berate me or disrespect me with the force of their ideas, the conversation is always over. Why? Because my thinking epitomizes my freedom. Whenever you give someone the deed of trust over your mind, they have in fact become your master. The Bible says it this way: as a man thinketh, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. How you think about your opportunities determines how you will act on them. I have read a passage today, a little long today, from Bishop T.D. Jakes' book, Instinct. And this has been the chapter on investments, investing in your dreams, instinctively seizing opportunities that come your way. So I hope today you get something very exciting, something motivational, that you're encouraged to pick something up and read something aloud. We love that everyone is liking the pages and visiting the website and subscribing, but we want you to read aloud. We are giving voice to words written by Black people every day this month. And today is an awesome day, as is every day. every day is an awesome day to share some of the motivational things that you have that can inspire others to become who they were created to be, to do what they're created to do, and to change their communities and world around them. So it is day 4 of the International Great Black Read Aloud Day. Today is Motivational Day, and we hope that you will get out and go online and share something to inspire. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you tomorrow for day 5. Bye-bye.